This is a guide for men to connect with their emotions. So let's begin. So I used to never cry during movies, even the movies that are meant to make you feel kind of sad, because for some reason I just wouldn't let myself feel it. And I'm sure that a lot of guys feel this way too, where there have been movies that you've really enjoyed and it has made you tear up a little, but if it was about to make you full blown cry, you would somehow manage to stop yourself because it's unmanly to shed tears. And yeah, I can understand the sentiment because that's basically the sentiment I've lived my entire life by. But when it comes to something like art or like things, art, like art is supposed to make you feel things, and you are not getting the whole experience if you don't allow yourself to feel whatever it is the art is trying to make you feel. So I'll just give you a movie example, like Interstellar. Interstellar is an amazing movie, and there are scenes in it that feel so human, and if you were comfortable, you would cry because it's just so human. But if you were watching this in a public theater, or you just for some reason weren't allowing yourself to experience the movie in its entirety, then you would hold back from letting yourself feel whatever emotions are happening. Personally, it's kind of an accomplishment for me because it's only really recently where I've been watching movies and I've actually been able to cry, which is kind of crazy. I think it's the best way to get the most out of art, and of course there are situations in real life where we actually kind of do need to cry. For men, at least for me at least, these events are far and few in between, but is that a thing? Far and few? It just doesn't happen very often. But when it does happen, I shouldn't bottle it up. I should let it happen. I should let my body process said emotions, let my brain process it, let me process it. Because that's the only way to, if you don't do that, then it's going to be stored in there for a while, and maybe even forever, unless you just allow yourself to experience the full range of said emotions. And that's why I'm making this guide, because I didn't really have a teacher, and you know what, there's no teachers out there for male emotions. There's therapists, there's self-improvement YouTubers, there's people who just who share their experiences and who talk about it. But there's not a clear, it's not so clear what a guy should be doing in order to connect with his own emotions. And there's still a stigma behind that, despite this whole mental health thing in the modern day. There's still a stigma behind feeling emotions, because the sad part about feeling emotions is that if you feel emotions, typically, as a guy, and you publicly show those, typically there will be consequences that you can't imagine. And sometimes those are good consequences, other times they are not so good. So first of all, why is it even important to connect with your emotions as a man? And I'll just share with you this theory. I think girls tend to date guys who are slightly older because slightly older men have similar levels of maturity. Because it's a known fact that boys kind of are 2 years behind in emotional maturity compared to girls. And when you're just on the same level of maturity, it's just easier to be around a person. People who actually grow up and mature, they don't fall for this toxic partner thing where it's all just a show, a display of strength, of vanity. Because real people are not infallible. Real people, and they will face failures in their life, and it will affect them. And the question is, are you going to bottle it up, keep bottling it up? Because eventually, if you do that, the pressure is going to get too much, and it's going to crack at some point. I remember when my mom died, the night she died, you know, I was going, no, I was tearing up a lot. All right, and we were next to her in the hospital room, and I was still tearing up, but I kept bottling it down. I kept bottling it down. And this happened for like the entire time we were basically with her corpse. And like at the very end, she did pass away, and like people were coming in, friends were coming in, comforting us and stuff. But it was when I had to leave that room. That's when like the pressure got too much, because it just came. I just had to really come to terms with it. This really happened. My mom really did pass away, and I wouldn't ever be able to like see her again. That entire time I was bottling my sadness. Whenever I did feel like crying, I pushed it down, pushed it down even more. And when we had to leave, like I just burst into tears, and I couldn't compose myself at all. And people asking me if I was okay, and I was like, I don't think I even responded. I don't remember what I said. I just knew that it sucked really bad, because I bottled it down. And that's like a normal time to cry as a guy. Like, it's a time where you're allowed to cry when like your mom dies or when somebody you love passes away. And yet I was still holding back. And honestly, same thing happened at the funeral. Like, I saw pictures of her in like very recent times, and I started tearing up, but I pushed it down again. That time I didn't like burst into tears, but still I don't think it was healthy for me, because that was like the acceptable time to grieve, to show emotion. And yet, through our own conditioning as men, we don't allow ourselves to experience grief in times where we're actually allowed to experience grief. The point is, if you understand your own emotions, you can make sure they don't get too much control over you, because you know how to process and handle them. And if you can do this for yourself, it does help you to understand other people and to help other people when it comes to their emotions. That's going to be a thing that you need to have in order to have any sort of relationship, whether it be romantic, whether it be friendly, whether it be professional. Okay, I'll just jump into this real quick because I'm thinking about it now. Like, a big reason why there's a huge loneliness crisis is because people aren't willing to, they don't know what they're feeling, and they don't know how to express that. And like, we think it wouldn't solve our problems to express this to somebody, but sometimes it does. And but like, the real point I'm trying to make here is, you have to understand it yourself. You have to understand and dig deeper into yourself to know how you feel, because that is what solves the emotion. Not that there are problems to be solved, but like, this is how you process your emotions. And if you don't do this, it's gonna be stuck in your stomach. It's gonna be stuck in you're gonna think about things at night. You're gonna not be able to fall asleep. Like, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. I hope by now you get why it's important. Like, maybe I'm not doing a good job at explaining it, but this is kind of a hard subject to explain anyways, because I'm not the most experienced in this either. But telling you about the progress I've made in my own emotions, I hope that I can then help you. So, what do you have to do to face your own emotions? The first thing you have to do is you have to get into the habit of allowing yourself to feel. You have to prompt your heart to feel. And typically what this, like, personally for me, what it feels like is like my eyes water a little bit. Not to the point where like I'm crying or anything, but like, it just softens. Like, when I say the words soften your gaze, what does that make you like? Try doing it with your eyes. Soften your gaze. There's something that happens there. It's so psychologically subtle, but like, you can just tell something changes, and that puts you in a more open state to like processing your emotions and being willing to feel them. And if you're watching like a sad movie, definitely do this, because you will get so much more out of the movie. You will enjoy it so much more if you allow yourself to be affected. So, soften your gaze. Psychologically prompt yourself to be open to feeling whatever it is you need to feel. The second thing you have to do is turn off the tough guy response. So, as you feel these emotions feeling up, like, a part of you will still fight it. It will still try to avoid feeling this, because it tries to be above emotions in a sense. And if you really want to get like the most out of this, if you really want to connect with your emotions and to handle them in the best way possible, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this thing where you see yourself as above your emotions. Instead, you just need to process them and allow yourself to feel them, and that is what is going to really help you connect with your emotions as a man. One thing to remember that might help with this is just remember that these emotions are your emotions to experience. Like, by you not allowing yourself to feel something, you are like taking color out of your life. Like, imagine if you were like colorblind, you couldn't see all the different colors, but you are doing this to yourself willingly. And life is beautiful when you experience the full range of emotions and you allow yourself to do it. Because if you only allow yourself to feel certain things, like, your subconscious is gonna kind of rebel in some ways, and you're gonna be, yeah, certain things are gonna upset you, and you're not gonna know why. Certain things are gonna draw you, and you're not gonna know why. These feelings, they are yours to experience, and they add to the experience of life. They don't take away, they add to it. I just want more people to be okay with that. Like, I feel like we're just on the precipice of like people actually understanding what it means to like process your emotions, especially for men, because you know we're undoing years and years upon years of conditioning for this. So yeah, these are your emotions to feel, and don't feel bad for feeling them, and let yourself feel them. So the easiest way to realistically do this is to experience these emotions in private first. So don't go watch a sad movie in a public theater. You still might like be embarrassed by other people. Just allow yourself to like sit by yourself, watch something, or read something, or do something. I just say this because it's an easy way to help yourself like practice this, to watch some sort of movie or whatever that makes you feel a real emotion, whether it be joy, sadness, anger, frustration, or whatever. I would typically choose sadness because that's the one that is a block for most men. Like, crying is basically a no-go. Never do it. If you're serious about this is the first step to take, is to like watch. Don't feel like you have to force yourself to cry, but like just be open to feeling whatever it is you feel, and if that feeling is moving you to tears, just let yourself shed tears. As you experience these feelings in private, then begin to verbalize your own emotions. Verbalize how you feel to yourself. So, a good way to do this is, let's say somebody asks you to do something that you don't really want to do, you don't really like it. You can literally just verbalize your emotions by saying, "Hey, I don't like this." And then internally, what you do next is you say, "Okay, why don't I like this? Why don't I like, what is it about it that I don't like? Why don't I like this?" And like, for a while, your brain might give logical reasons, like, I don't like, let's say, cutting the grass. I don't like cutting the grass because I don't like the smell of fresh cut grass, or like, I don't like seeing dead grasshopper bits all over the yard. Then you take it a level deeper, and then you ask yourself, okay, which feeling is it exactly that is affecting me? Why does this actually bother me? What am I feeling that makes it bother me? And you begin to realize, like, okay, let's go back to cutting the lawn, or mowing the lawn, for example. Why does it upset you to cut the grass? Maybe it's because you feel like it's pointless, or you don't like unnecessarily damaging nature or whatever for the sake of like trying to one up your neighbors or something. Like, this is kind of a bad example, but your own emotions and your own values and your own wants and your own thoughts, practice verbalizing them, because if you can verbalize them to yourself, you will begin to understand and see what it looks like to yourself when you actually process your emotions. So I guess I'll try to give you a real example. For me, I've wanted to connect with people on a deeper level, but for some reason, I just find that I don't really care. And of course I do care, but not enough to really take action on what I want to do, which is to like have deeper conversations and to be a better friend to my friends. And I have to ask myself, why do I want this? Why do I want to go deeper? And I could give logical reasons like, oh, it's because it's good for me, because I want to level up my social skills, because I want to have better friendships and better connections. But I think the next best thing to do is to then go into my emotions, which is like, okay, so there's something in me that feels like this is so important. Like, this means so much to me. Ever since I was a kid, I was always drawn to like friends, and whenever I see like a podcast and they're having like a deep discussion, I kind of envy that for some reason, because I want that in my life. I want to have those kinds of conversations in my life. I know it's kind of difficult to like bring it up because I don't know what people will think about me. And now we're getting to this like next level of introspectiveness where like you're talking about you're really discovering how you feel deep on the inside, and you're verbalizing that to yourself. And sometimes saying it out loud helps you to realize it and to change your strategy or make better improvements somehow. Even if you don't, like, it's healthy for you to understand how you feel and why you feel the way that you do, and being able to verbalize that. And then the last step to like fully connecting with your emotions is being able to share them with other people. And I think a lot of guys, not just guys, but a lot of people make this mistake where like they kind of end up trauma dumping on somebody else, where like it's when you're sharing something that's vulnerable and upsetting to you, but you kind of make it the other person's responsibility to help you, like guilt tripping them into helping you or something, and that just makes the other person very uncomfortable. Like, I've had this happen to me once, and I just didn't know what to do. Like, in my opinion, this like the proper response, or the proper way to express your problems and to tell other people about what you're going through, is you always end it with like, okay, I told you all this, and I'm glad that you're listening and you're a friend, but you don't like I will handle this. I will handle this, and I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're listening to me. That just means you're taking responsibility for this problem. Like, you just needed someone to like talk to, in a sense, and that's not trauma dumping, because you are still solving your own problem. Trauma dumping is when you tell your traumatic experiences to someone and basically just expect the other person to somehow comfort you. And you do this over and over and over again. And it's not very nice to the other person, because you sort of make them like your parent when they're not really your parent. And there are better ways to process your emotions and to process your trauma. Okay, that's the point, honestly, where like I'm not too experienced, and I just kind of like intuitively know not to overshare and not to talk too much about myself. That could just be the way I was raised, because I was raised in like a family of 9, and mom and dad had to work really hard to care for all of us, and that just meant that we didn't really get one-on-one time, which kind of sucks, but that's where it's my responsibility to then make sure my kids don't go through the same thing, or I can do a better job with them. It's a healthy thing to tell other people that we're not okay, but just never make it the other person's responsibility to solve said problem, even if it is like their responsibility, because you are responsible for processing your own emotions and getting it under control, getting your emotions in harmony with yourself, in harmony with whatever path you're trying to take in life. That's it for this video. That's like everything I kind of know about learning how to connect with my emotions and stuff. And I hope I've done a good enough job at wording it, because this is like, it's kind of weird to talk about. Not weird, but I'm just not used to speaking about my emotions like this. And like, I verbalize it to myself, but there's still some parts that I haven't verbalized yet, and that's where you saw me like stuttering, like is this right? Am I saying what I actually feel? But yeah, I hope you can take something from this and learn from it and somehow apply it to yourself. Leave a comment if you have experience that you would like to share or if you relate somehow. And I will see you in the next video.